Hello everyone, this is the first time I have ever made an introduction before the introduction to the podcast. I actually had everything planned and ready, but then we received that terrible news about what is happening in the world. So I just want to say a quick thing about the current situation that we find ourselves in, because maybe, like me, you have thought to yourself in these days, what's the point of working if the world is falling apart? But just remember that by working, we are in a better position to help people, maybe through donations, through being available, to have people in your house if they need to stay with you. If we don't work, we are less able to help people. And I must admit, I almost felt bad putting this episode out today, as obviously in the episode, like every episode, I laugh and joke with one of my friends, but I kind of almost feel bad laughing while such terrible things are happening in the world. But then, as I mentioned, I realized that by working, we are doing our bit to help people. For example, with this podcast, I am helping people. This is why I chose this work ahead of working at a bank in London, because I receive messages every day from people around the world saying how much I have helped them, and very often messages from people that say they were able to pass an English test and move to another country. So I want to continue my work to help people and make a difference in the world. The difference I make is probably 0.00000000001%, maybe with a few more zeros, but it's the only thing that I can do. I also want to say that I know wars have been going on in other countries during other times, and I have not mentioned anything on the podcast like this before, so I am sorry for that. But unfortunately, I'm not so well informed about these things in general. But this particular event I feel much closer to me because, thanks to people in the RnR English family, I have friends in Ukraine. So I just want my friends in the RnR English family to know that I am thinking of you and your families at this time, and I hope you stay safe. And I also have friends from Russia who I know are suffering too, and again, I want to say I am thinking of you and your families at this moment. And the same for all my other brothers and sisters listening to this podcast, all of you rock and rollers who are listening right now. Because although we have never met or never spoken, if you listen to this podcast, it means you have similar values to me. So I know that you are totally against this situation and it is something that you don't want. So I am thinking of you, I am with you. As mentioned earlier, I'm not so well informed, so I don't really know what I can do to help. But if anyone can think of a way I can use this podcast or do anything to help, please just let me know and I will do my best. In the meantime, I think the only way that I can help is to bring some entertainment to your life, to forget about this situation just for a few minutes and hopefully bring a smile to your face. So enjoy the episode. Let's stay united, spread laughter and love, and let's keep on rocking together.
This is Rock and Roll English. Real people, real English. Here's your host, Martin Johnston.
Hello everyone and welcome to another episode of Rock and Roll English. Episode number 258, baby. Oh yeah. In today's episode, we speak to Boom Boom Cannon. Yes, that's right, he is back. And we talk about what's best to have, brothers, sisters, or nothing at all. Luckily, I recorded this before I left my house in Sicily, so there is no delay this week. Sorry about last week. Hopefully, we will have another podcast next week on Monday with another podcaster, YouTuber, or something like that. But if not, definitely 100% in 2 weeks' time, because these are the real RnR English podcasts and I would never miss one of them. So here is the episode with Boom Boom where we speak about brothers, sisters, or no siblings. And we also speak about eating clothes, not talking to women, imaginary girlfriends, and much more. I will talk to you all at the end. Here is the episode. Happy listening. Boom Boom Cannon, how are you today?
I'm good, Martin. How are you?
Always fantastic, Boom Boom. Always fantastic. So, as I quickly mentioned to you in our pre-podcast chat, Mental Marky Mark has now also joined the podcast, okay? So I thought I would just get him on board, so let him join the team, just to keep you on your toes, Boom Boom, okay? So just so you can up your game even further, okay?
Yeah, I imagine he's going to be a tough act to follow.
Yeah, lovely vocabulary. So yeah, quite self-explanatory, difficult to follow, obviously because of his experience with a hospital FM radio, but
yeah, he's a pro. I'm just an amateur.
I've got belief in you. Don't put yourself down.
Thanks,
okay,
mate.
Some nice vocabulary. Don't underestimate yourself. You can do this. Okay. So Boom Boom, how do we usually start the show?
With a review.
Do you think we have a review?
Yeah.
I thought you were going to go with the negative one, always negative, Boom Boom, but changed at the last minute, and it was a good choice because we do have one. I have recently found lots of old reviews on iTunes because you have to look on that specific language, and I found one from France, okay? It's actually written in French, so I'm actually going to read this in French, okay?
It's not from my mum, is it?
It's not, because Boom Boom's mum and dad live in France. But no, it could be. It says by Grandadella. Okay. Does your mum call herself Grandadella?
No, and she also doesn't know how to listen to podcasts, so probably not her.
And especially leaving reviews on iTunes is not easy.
That's way too much. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's not Boom Boom's mum, but okay. So this is the strange thing. Okay, this is actually from 2017, and it says great and fun. This bit's in English. 3 stars. Okay. And then it says, so I'm going to read this in French, and I can actually understand this, I think, from my knowledge of Italian. It says, episodes varias sus des sujets quotidiens, which I think means episodes about everyday subjects, okay? And then it says, sympathiques dialogues entre deux amis tres complices.
Is this French or French accent you're trying to do now, or is it Italian?
I think it's a combination of all three, really. Which I think means like nice dialogues between two like accomplices, like two friends, a nice word there, like partner in crime. On apprend beaucoup des vocabulaires utilisés tous les jours.
Every day.
Every day, yeah. So I think it means you can learn everyday vocabulary. So I want to say to you, Grandadella, it says great and fun. It's all positive. Why 3 stars? Why so stingy with the stars?
Good question. But in 2017, was it a 3-star podcast? And I don't know.
Good point. Maybe it's gone up. Well, maybe it's gone up now. Well, I mean, 5 stars is the maximum.
Yeah.
If you could up, it would be a 10-star podcast, sure. But yeah, maybe it was a 3-star podcast. The other thing about this, it was actually left on the 12th of November, one day before my birthday. And I thought, luckily it wasn't on my birthday because, you know, if there's one thing leaving a 3-star review, but there's another thing leaving it on your birthday, isn't it?
Yeah, that's not what anyone needs. 3-star review on their birthday.
Absolutely not.
Yeah.
But I suppose I should say thank you, Grandadella, for taking the time. But next time, please go for 5. Okay, so on to today's topic, okay, which I kind of mentioned to you, Boom Boom, of something we would be talking about, but I've tweaked it a little bit. So when you tweak it, it's when you change it a little bit. Okay. So to look at what is better to have, sisters, brothers, or to be an only child, okay? I've done my 5 minutes research and I've got a little bit on everything. Obviously, Boom Boom, like me, has an older brother, so we can share our experiences as well.
So we're not very well qualified to talk about having a sister or having no siblings.
We're not qualified to talk about anything we talk about on this podcast, Boom Boom.
Very good point. Very good point.
But we're going to do our best. That's all we can do. Okay. So it says sisters. One of the benefits of having a sister is that it makes, especially if you have a brother, obviously, it makes their brothers better at talking to women, which, that really made me think, because I thought as well, we can maybe choose what's best at the end of this podcast. And that really made me think maybe a sister would have been good. Hey, Boom Boom.
Definitely sounds like an advantage to having a sister. But is it true? I'm trying to think of any of our friends that have got sisters and whether they were noticeably better at talking to girls than we were.
I don't think of our group of friends anyone was good at talking to women.
Exactly.
Mainly because we didn't talk to women.
No.
Okay, that was generally our tactic.
No,
wasn't it?
You couldn't say we were bad at it because we just didn't do it. So
we had so much fun by ourselves, though, didn't we? We didn't need to. Okay,
didn't need anyone else.
Didn't want to. Although one time that came into my mind about this, we were out once, and on the dance floor, and I remember you were taking a break, and I was dancing, and then a girl spoke to me. I think she probably just said, "Can you move?" or something like that. But still, it was like a girl has spoken to me. So for me, it was like, right, okay. Like I was immediately going to ask her, like, what do you think of kids? Like, do you want any kids? Like, we should probably talk about this now, because you've asked me politely to move out the way, but that for me is a sign that
it's a start.
It's a start.
You're interested in me in some way.
Absolutely. So I was like red alert, thinking something is happening here. And so I remember she was to my left, and I just playing it cool, sort of started dancing, went to my right, and then I went to my left again just to say something to her, like, do you come here often, kind of thing. And I said that, and she had already gone. And then I remember looking at you, and you had seen this scene very clearly, looking at me, talking to thin air. Okay, so just to air, and being extremely, extremely embarrassed. And then I thought again, like, it was my fault for trying to talk to a girl, really.
Yeah. You've learnt your lesson. Just talk to your mates, because they will actually talk to you. So play it safe.
Exactly. Like, I think I came over, you were just laughing, like, what were you thinking trying to talk to a girl? You know girls don't talk to you.
Come here, mate. Talk to me. Come on.
Yeah, quite a depressing situation, or life as well, I think, that we all had at the time. But moving on, okay, this one's for brothers, okay? So they will look out for you, okay? So they take care of you. So your older brother, does he look out for you, take care of you, Boom Boom?
Well, I'm sort of thinking back to, when we were young, and I suppose there was an element of taking care of me, but I think that was probably outweighed by the sort of beating me up. Bullying me, getting me to do stuff, that sort of thing. So yeah, I wouldn't disagree with it, but yeah, it was outweighed, I'd say.
Yeah. Well, yeah, with my brother, I think because we're so similar in age, less than 2 years between us, there was just not much of, certainly him looking out for me, not much bullying either, very much just sort of went our own separate ways. But the thing of older brothers, got me thinking about a time when we were living together, Boom Boom. We went to the park just to have a kick about, just to kick a football around. And there were some kids there. We were probably about 24 at the time. Some kids there that were probably about 8 that were basically giving us verbal abuse. And I remember saying to you, should we just tell them to fuck off? And then we both decided it would be a good idea to not do that, just in case they had any older, bigger brothers that might come and kill us.
Yeah, we were aware, and in that area at that time, their older brothers would have definitely, I'd say, been able to beat us up.
Definitely. And by older brothers, because they were about 8, we were thinking, they might have a 13-year-old brother.
Exactly, yeah.
We don't want to be messing around with any 13-year-olds.
We don't want any 12 or 13-year-olds rocking up here and challenging us.
Exactly. So we'll just take the abuse and not say anything. And yeah, just remember playing that whole time whilst getting abused by an 8-year-old. Again, it was in the period of not talking to women, so it wasn't a great period as well to get abused by 8-year-olds.
No, it wasn't. But it's hard to know what to do when you get abused by an 8-year-old, really. That's sort of that age where what can you do?
Yeah, you can't punch an 8-year-old.
No, exactly.
Even if you tell an 8-year-old to fuck off. Imagine that. An old woman's walking her dog and then she sees you shout fuck off to an 8-year-old. It's a no-win situation, really, is it?
No, you just have to take it.
Yeah, you just have to sit back and take it. But it also got me thinking of a time I saw two brothers in an argument once, actually. And this was at the time when at school, I don't know if you remember this, but a valid insult at the time was your mum. So like your mum. And I never really actually fully understood it. I think it was like, I've had sex with your mum is basically what the insult was. But the insult was just your mum. So your mum, that was the insult. And these two brothers were having an argument. It was a game of football. And then one of them said to the other one, his brother, your mum. And the other brother, very rightly, said, my mum is your mum. Like, you're insulting your own mum. What are you doing?
I'm the one person you can't use that insult against.
Yeah, fuck off, mate. Your mum. I've had sex with your mum. So that's you've done that with your mum, is what you're saying. It was a very confusing argument for a bunch of 13-year-old boys, as we were at the time.
I wonder if that's still a popular insult, do you think? Or maybe that's kids have moved on.
Good question. If any 13-year-olds are listening, do you say to your friends, your mum? And then that's like a really good insult.
Do you have many sort of English 13-year-olds listening to the podcast?
They might do it in other languages. They might translate your mum.
Yeah, there are.
Exactly.
People have mums in other countries.
It's a common thing, isn't it, to have mums? Yeah. It's strange, that one. Okay, so another one. This is a benefit of being an only child, is that you are always the favourite child. Okay, which solid benefit there. But then I also thought every family has a favourite one. Boom, boom. What about you? Who was the favourite one, or who is the favourite one?
Well.
Your brother's not listening, Boom Boom, don't worry.
I don't want to say too much, but you saw my exam results, so I think we all know the answer.
Again, valid point, because that's something where, I think it was sort of like a good measurement, exam results for kids. And that's why I think, in my younger days, I probably was the favourite one. But certainly once we got to adult stage, my brother got married early, kids, whilst I was sort of moving in different places around the world. So I think I've lost a lot of ground to him on that. So when you lose ground, it's like you start losing the race. And I think he's very much the favourite one.
Yeah,
now.
Similarly. Well, you're doing your bit now on that front, whereas I'm still lagging behind. My brother's got 3 children now. I've got none. So. Yeah, on that front, he's
catching up with those exam results now, isn't he?
Exactly.
Yeah. Same with me. That's why I thought, I need to sort of pull my finger out here. I need to take action. So get married, child under my belt, just to try and start winning the race of who is the favourite child again, to get back up there.
Well, that's why I'm doing this PhD now, because I thought if I can't impress my parents by having any kids, then I'll just do some more exams. So.
Keep doing exams forever. Once you've finished the PhD, I think you're just going to sort of rock up at school. So when you rock up, it's like you just come without being invited and say, any exams you want me to do? I'm ready for some exams.
What have you got on today? History. Yeah, I'll give it a go.
Lovely expression there. I'll give it a go. So I'll try it. Yeah. Well, good luck with that, Boo Boom, because I'm sure you will actually do well, because you bloody love exams, don't you?
Yeah.
Absolutely love it. So a benefit of a sister, again, is they make you kinder and get you in touch with your feminine side. And I thought about you, Boom Boom. Strange case, because you have a older brother, but still very much in touch with your feminine side, aren't you? Very kind as well. Where does that come from, do you think?
Wow. That's it's getting deep now, isn't it? Good question. I don't know. It's just natural, I think.
Just comes natural.
Yeah.
Okay. But so another thing about brothers here is it says they give good advice. Okay, especially an older brother. How about you? Has your brother given you much good advice over the years?
I don't know. I remember trying to go to him, sort of thinking back and this will surprise you, it was a while ago given my lack of facial hair now, but I remember going to him when I was quite a lot younger and sort of asking him to show me how to shave.
Oh, right, okay.
Yeah.
I thought the question was going to be, how do I grow a beard?
No, I mean, that would have... That's still a question I ask him now. Yeah.
I come to me for that one, Boom. If anything, I'm too good at growing a beard and growing hair in general. So good. If there's any, I think I'm the best in the world at growing hair all over the body. So I can give you a lot of advice about
shaving.
That,
less
okay?
so.
Yeah, it becomes, once you've got a ferocious beard, Boom, shaving becomes a chore. So something you don't really want to do. But I remember your brother giving you some great advice once, which was when you I think had more or less maybe your first girlfriend, I'm not sure, one of, and I think your brother was as shocked as the rest of us were about this. And it was the point where he hadn't met her. And I remember he said to you once, I'm going out now, but you can invite your imaginary girlfriend round if you want, and I bet you still won't have sex with her. So telling you to be safe with your imaginary girlfriend, doesn't want you get... one thing you don't want is your imaginary girlfriend to get pregnant, isn't it?
Of course. The last thing you want to end up with is an imaginary baby that you haven't planned. So imagine an imaginary unplanned pregnancy. I think he knew that even what he thought, at the time was an imaginary girlfriend, he knew I'd be respectful with. So,
as we said, you're in touch with your feminine side. So, real or imaginary does not matter. Okay, you're always going to be respectful.
She was real. She was real. I think she was real.
I can confirm that. Okay, definitely real. So this is just brothers and sisters in general. Is that they let you borrow their clothes. Now, I don't know about you, Boom, but having an older brother, especially when I was a child, I got the hand-me-downs, which is such a lovely term in English, I think, an informal way to say the clothes that are now too small for your older sibling then get passed down, the hand-me-downs. Did you have the hand-me-downs?
Yeah, big time.
Yeah.
Got that a lot.
Big drawback, so a big negative there of being the younger one, isn't it?
It is. Because there's always that option to get the hand-me-down rather than treat you to something new, whereas the older child
will always get the new stuff, yeah.
Yeah, unless it gets passed down from the parent, I suppose. But yeah, otherwise you get the new stuff and then we would get it later, which I remember actually thinking I was quite happy with. And maybe with the age difference, because my brother's like 3.5 years older than me, so you kind of think you've got maybe some cool stuff, even though it's hand-me-downs. So
like my older brother wore this and he's so cool kind of thing.
Exactly.
Yeah, well, my brothers were used to basically eat the clothes as well, so they were very manky, very disgusting.
Your brother used to eat the clothes?
Well, do you know, like the tassels, so like the things that maybe like you'd have to tie it up with.
Okay, sort of have in his mouth.
They would always be in his mouth. Yeah, I don't think literally eating clothes.
No, that's what I thought you meant.
Like for dinner, of like, what are you having tonight?
Yeah.
A t-shirt. Had some shorts and socks for breakfast. So
have a sock on the side because
that would be a good side dish, wouldn't it? A sock.
Yeah, socks aside. Yeah.
Your main dish are things like your jeans. That's a full meal. That one.
Your gloves and socks, they're a side dish, maybe a starter.
Absolutely. Yeah. So to finish on one for an only child, it says if you're an only child, the advantage is you have a big imagination because you have to play with imaginary friends quite a lot. And again, I was thinking about you there, Boom. You had the benefit of that one anyway with your imaginary girlfriend, didn't you?
Yeah. Yeah, you can have a brother and an imaginary girlfriend. That's fine. It's
not one without the other, is it?
No.
Which I think is very good. Okay, so we've come to the end, Boom. So
you just mentioned that one just so you could raise the imaginary girlfriend thing again, which I do want to stress was just a joke my brother made, not something I actually had. But
What a great joke, though.
you brought it up twice, so...
What a fantastic joke it was, though. But so to finish then on one more, we'll do one more. If we don't want to finish on a negative, boom, boom, is like competition. Again, I think between sisters, brothers, they're very competitive. Is that the case with you and your brother?
It was, but again, because of the age difference, that was mostly a competition that I had no chance of winning.
Right.
Because, yeah, older brother's bigger and better at most things, whereas more even for you, I imagine. And
Well, yeah, a bit for the age difference as well. So, yeah, there was very, and well, even to this day, the thought of losing at something to my brother. For example, I was always the more sporty one of the two. But now my brother's got really into running. And he shows me some of the times, and he keeps saying to me, let's go out for a run together. And I always say, nah, mate, nah, I can't. I've got a bad leg. I can't. Would love to. I would still destroy you in a race, obviously, but just cannot do that, unfortunately. So
can't bear to lose.
Absolutely not. The thought of it makes me feel sick. But yeah. So okay. Conclusion, boom boom. What are we saying? What's best? Brother, sister, only child.
What's best? I think we've got to say brothers, haven't we?
Kind of. I thought you still might go for sister because you just
The whole feminine side thing.
the feminine side thing of it. Yeah.
No, we'll say brothers.
We'll say brothers.
We're biased, but we'll say brothers. Yeah.
Exactly. A lovely word there. We're biased, so we're not thinking objectively because we do have brothers. But thanks as always for your time, Boom Boom.
Thanks, mate. See you next time.
See you next time. Bye bye.
Okay, so that was me talking to Boom Boom Cannon about brothers, sisters, and nothing at all. I hope you enjoyed it. Let's have a look at some of that RnR vocab. I mentioned at the beginning how I have got mental marky mark on board. So when you get someone on board, they become part of the team. I mentioned how by doing that, I am keeping Boom Boom Cannon on his toes. When you keep someone on their toes, you keep them alert. You don't let that person relax. Boom Boom also said that mental marky mark is a tough act to follow. Very simple to understand, but a very nice term there. And I said, don't put yourself down. Don't underestimate yourself. Then on the French review, we actually had some RnR vocab when I mentioned, well, the review mentioned dialogues between two accomplices. So an accomplice is like a partner in crime, in literal crime, but we use this in a figurative way to say, yes, Boom Boom is my partner in crime when it comes to podcasts, for example. I mentioned stingy again, stingy with the stars. I mentioned that recently, didn't I? That's not generous. I also mentioned how I've tweaked the topic, or how I tweaked the topic. When you tweak something, you just change it a little bit. I also mentioned how I was talking to thin air. Now that's just a way to emphasize nothing, okay? So I was talking to thin air. What are you going to pay with? Thin air to say nothing, basically. Then Boom Boom said, yeah, you should have just spoken to your friends and played it safe. To play it safe, don't do anything risky or dangerous. We spoke about older brothers looking out for you. When you look out for someone, you kind of keep an eye on someone, make sure they're okay. Very much a thing that older brothers should do. I mentioned how I've lost ground in the race to be the best child with my brother. When you lose ground, it's when you start losing a race. And then Boom Boom said, well, you're doing your bit now. When you do your bit, you're kind of doing all you can. And then he said, I'm still lagging behind. When you lag behind, you are behind in the race, let's say. I mentioned how I need to pull my finger out. Sorry, Boom Boom said that, I think, and said he needs to pull his finger out and have kids, like take action. And I mentioned how Boom Boom will just rock up at school and ask to do exams. So when you rock up somewhere, you arrive without an appointment, let's say. I mentioned how shaving becomes a chore, like a boring thing to do, like washing, cleaning, all of these are chores. The best piece of RnR vocab was hand-me-downs. A very informal term, but very funny British term to say the things that your brother or sister wore before you. Then we mentioned how that is one of the drawbacks of being the younger one. So a drawback is a negative point. And I mentioned how my brother used to eat the tassels, which are the things. Let's imagine you are wearing a hoodie. Okay, you have the hood and you have those two pieces of string, let's call them, but bigger than string. Those are the tassels that you can tie up together. And he used to put them in their mouth and they were very manky. So manky is a word to say disgusting. I often use this with baby RnR. When she tries to eat, I say, oh, you're all manky and disgusting. And then right at the end, Boom Boom said, we are biased, so we will say brothers are the best. Now, we are biased. We do not have an objective opinion because obviously we actually have brothers. So there you go. All of the vocab is on the website, RnR.com. No, that's not my website, is it? rockandrollenglish.com/episode 258. I hope you enjoyed the podcast. Hopefully I will see you next week, if not very soon. But if you're in the family, I'm sure I will see you in these days. In fact, I will see you tomorrow. But yes, talk to you all soon, people. But in the meantime, just keep on rocking, baby.
Thanks so much for listening to Rock and Roll English. For more great content and to stay up to date, visit rockandrollenglish.com and facebook.com/rockandrollenglish. We'll catch you next time.